I'm so excited about this word that God gave me. And I just wanted to share what I normally share when we come back from break. And that is the story of the song that is played during our break time. That song is chosen by the one and only Al Greer of AG Entertainment, and he is also the owner and CEO of WSD Radio, your home for old school and dusties. And right now, I just want to give a shout out to all of my radio personalities on WSD Radio, your home for old school and dusty, and that is WOSDradio.com, your home of old school and dusties. I just want to be able to let you know that you should listen to them Monday through Sunday. There is good music going on up on this radio station, and it is worldwide. So back to Al. So Al is the person who chooses my song. He listens to the message and then he puts the song in, and as usual, Al always makes his mark, and this song really was perfect for this message. God is awesome and amazing, and we want to get back to hanging in there. And I just want to thank everyone who comes on the line on Sundays at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Now I know I have a lot of people listening from California, and so it's mountain time, and I really appreciate you guys coming on because it's like 3 hours earlier, and the dedication that you give me, I don't take it lightly, and I am very grateful and thankful to God that what He is doing in my life is being shared all over the world. And once again, I want to thank you guys for listening. So let's get back into hanging in there. We're going to talk about some scriptures here now. I'm going to break a couple of scriptures down. These scriptures are all about hanging in there, or what we can do. God says, don't give up, okay? That's what hanging in there means. Don't give up. Don't panic. Don't worry. Like me, I'm sitting here. Here it is, a day before I'm supposed to start work, and I haven't gotten any word. But I'm not worried about it because God always has a ram in the bush for me. That's a whole nother story right there, that ram in the bush. That thing took me out because, that... what was his name? Isaac. I tell you, he was a great sacrifice. God had that. He was going to be. Abraham loved God so much that he was going to sacrifice his son. That was the best thing that he can give God. The same way God sacrificed his one and only son for us is what God really wants us to do in a nutshell. And that's what this hanging in there is all about. So let's look at Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10, and I'm going to read it in three different translations. Okay, we're going to first read it in the KJV, which is the King James Version, and it says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." There's that word, Gina, righteousness, yes. And now we're going to read it in the English Standard Version, and it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And now in the New Living Translation, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand." I love that one. With his victorious right hand. God is awesome. And God is amazing. He wants us to not be afraid. Fear not. I love it. Fear not. All of them say that. And the last one says, don't be afraid, for I am with you. And we can end it right there. That right there tells you that you can hang in there because God is with you. And then it ends with, I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. God always has the victory. So we have to stick with him because victory is in his right hand, his righteous hand, his righteous right hand. Okay? Right hand of my righteousness. Yes. Let's see. 2 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 7. And once again, I'm going to be reading it in the 3 translations. The first is the King James Version, and it reads, Be ye strong, therefore, and let not your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. And here it is in the English Standard Version. But you, take courage, do not let your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. And last, the New Living Translation. But as for you, be strong and courageous, for your work will be rewarded. Hang on in there. No matter what you do, be strong. Take courage. Do not let your hands be weak. So that means to keep going, keep building, keep doing things, keep creating things. I got to talk about Gina again. My daughter loves to make her own things. She often talks about how she wants things to look a certain way. And when she buys stuff from the store, or as we call it, we go out and find something. I ain't talking about like JJ used to find things on Good Times, and I steal it. But in the thrift stores or secondhand stores, we call it a good find, okay? And it may not be exactly the way she wants it, but she has a creative mind, and she's able to change it to make it look exactly how she wants it to look. You know, she has the strength, you understand? And that's exactly what Gina can do. And her work is always rewarded, because she'll even send me a picture and I'll go, oh, you better get it, girl. Go ahead on, girl. Or her husband, my son Mikey, really lets her know how much he really admires it. Let's go to Jeremiah 29, verse 11. Again, in the King James Version. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord. Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. And in the English Standard Version, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. And again, in the New Living Translation, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. And I know right there someone is saying, well, what do you call this pandemic called Corona? It's a disaster. And I thought the Lord said he wasn't going to give us, he didn't have a plan for disaster for us. But guess what? God has given you everything you need to even survive the disaster, the pandemic of Corona and the pandemic of racism. He says, well, I know the thoughts that I think toward you. God thinks towards us good thoughts, and he thinks towards us well-planned thoughts. Okay, what he planned for us. Now, he planned way back in the Garden of Eden for us to live a good and perfect life. A good and perfect life. But what happened? Old Satan, he decided that sounds like a plan that I want to make. And so he decided that I'm going to mess everything up, you know? And if God says, I know the thoughts that I think toward you, or I know the plans I have for you, or for I know the plans I have given you, says the Lord, declares the Lord, saith the Lord, then we should be able to accept what happens because he already knows the plans and he's already given us an escape route, and we can hang in there. God did it. He taught us what to do through his word, his disciples, spending time with each and every one of them, leaving them words of encouragement, leaving them words of truth, leaving them examples of how to live this righteous life so that we may wear this victorious crown of everlasting life. Now let's look at Mark chapter 10, verse 27. We're going to read it from the King James Version. And Jesus, looking upon them, saith, with men it is impossible, but not with God. For with God all things are possible. Excuse me. All things are possible. Now, New Living Translation. Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but not with God. Everything is possible with God. Now, the English Standard Version. Jesus looked at them and said, with man it is impossible, but not with God. For all things are possible with God. Mark, I tell you, is truly a man of God who God just absolutely poured into his life with being able to walk side by side with Jesus. God did some marvelous things with the disciples, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, Timothy, and Andrew, and he was able to pour into them individually, because God spent a lot of time with the 12, but he also spent a lot of time with them individually. And Mark really, he really listened to God, and he really allowed God to pour into him through his son, Jesus Christ. And Mark says, Jesus looking upon them said, with men it is impossible. And so this is one of the times when Jesus was letting them know that you can't do it by your own power, but with my power, with the Father's power, you can do it. And so you just have to hang on in there, hang in there, listen to me, allow me to teach you the word, allow me to be the example of what it means to live righteous. We can do it because my Father said we can. He gave me as a living sacrifice so that you would be able to live with us. That's me, my Father, and the Holy Spirit in paradise forever. I'm going to show you the way because I am the way. I am the way, the truth, and the light. No man gets to the Father but through me. And so you gotta know me. So I am who I am. Now let's look at Psalm 37 verse 24. And it says in the King James Version, though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. In the English Standard Version, though he fall, he shall not be cast headlong, for the Lord upholds his hand. Wow. In the New Living Translation, though they stumble, they will never fall, for the Lord holds them by the hand. So you got to hang on in there and know that the Lord is holding you by his righteous hand, his victorious right hand, his righteous right hand. God is awesome and God is amazing, and we have to be able to understand who his son is. It's all tied back to Jesus. You know, all of this stuff that I do week by week by week, God, you know, he sets me down, he gives me what he wants